Where are you going?
I'm flying out to Nashville today.
Nashville, like Tennessee? You know it's cold there, right?
Last Nashville, Tennessee, like it's gonna be like 30 degrees, 27 degrees, 24 degrees. It's gonna be amazing. That's why I'm wearing like I'm just getting prepared for when I get there. I'm not gonna be
Are you in the car
frozen.
now or not?
No, I am not. I'm gonna be
Oh,
leaving. I'm gonna be leaving after the meeting, so I got some time.
cool. All right, so what are you gonna do in Nashville just to keep us all posted? Why would Century
Um,
21 call you to
Yeah,
go to
so
Nashville?
so Century 21 is sending me out for an event with potential franchisees that are prospects looking at joining Century 21. And every December they do a pretty big event of all of the people that have not come on board yet, and they kind of wine and dine them a little bit, and then we give them some nice presentations around, what Century 21 does. And it's people like Mike Meadler and Greg Sexton and Tori and like pretty much all of like the VPs and presidents of Century 21 come and speak, and then
And Jimmy.
I get to speak. I get to speak.
Yeah.
It's about 25 different brokers and some of their top agents along with all that good stuff. So it should be fun. It's stuff that I typically do for them anyways, but it's just kind of nice to be able to get out there and rub elbows with the big guys.
Well, it's an honor they chose you, and they chose you because you're damn good at what you do, right?
Yeah.
You can demonstrate the
Oh yeah.
tools and the tricks of the trade. Yeah, Jimmy's a rock star saying right there, woo, woo, woo. Some props for Jimmy this morning. Even though
Yeah,
it
it should
is
be
Nashville's
yeah,
actually a really fun town though.
yes. Yeah, we were talking about that. Like I mean, it should be a good time. And again, just a lot of it still works. So I don't think I'm taking a vacation, guys. I'm still available. Call me. I'll be in the meeting tomorrow. Like I'm always available, just so you guys know. But
This is a
yeah, it
work
should be
vacation.
it's a small, quick little 2-day trip. So I'll be back. And again, like I said, I'm still available and that stuff. But it's just I'm honored doing this because I remember like when we started this, it was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like when we launched Moxie,
Hmm.
you got me up in front of this group and they liked it. And then all of a sudden they're just like, hey, you want to do this? Do you want to come and do this? And then when obviously I go to most events for Century 21, so it's easy for me to just slide in and do these things. And so like I feel like I'm part of their franchise sales team to a certain degree. Just because of how much work I do with them. But again, it's awesome. And just for you guys, for everybody that's on this call, it's not just a trip that I like to, it's cool to travel and do this. But I get this question a lot, like why do I give so much? Like why am I willing to do this kind of stuff? And
We'll talk
I
about some of the
hope
side benefits. These are fringe benefits. They're not expected, but they
well
come your way.
well think about it. Like so on our Empower AI journey, like on the
Hmm.
website side, I want to say I probably half of the brokers are interested in signing up that I've helped bring in board on into Century 21.
Yep.
I've gotten just this last month probably about 5 or 6 referrals from those brokerages that have people that are coming down into, the Tampa area. And honestly, for me, the biggest thing, like that's all cool stuff. But for me, the ability to give back and teach people, because I feel like I have kind of a knack for some of that stuff. And this could be a takeaway for anybody on this call. If you're good at something and you're able to provide a service to somebody, just know that it comes back twofold, like hands down, by just putting yourself out there and do the things that you do and giving service to, if it's your clients, if it's somebody that needs help, and just offering, which just kind of ties in a little bit to what we're kind of talking about today. But if you provide that service and maybe they're not ready for whatever that is, but you just reached out, there could be some other opportunities that could pop up from it. You just don't know until you put yourself out there.
Yeah,
How
and
to
then
do
do
it.
a little. One of our big topics today is follow up. But anyway, to close off this segment, super proud of you. It's very nice of
Thank you.
you to give it yourself, and things do come from number one. I think you mentioned you get some referrals now back and forth for different things.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
mean, most of them I give out because they're not necessarily in my backyard. So I've sent a
Mhm.
couple down to Miami. I've sent them all over the place to,
Yeah.
to our referral network because we have such a big network in Florida. And I'd say just the last thing is do what you love doing, because when I do this stuff, I come back passionate, I come back energized. And thank you, Craig, for allowing me the opportunity and putting me in front of,
Of
these
course.
people to be able to showcase what I really, really enjoy. And it's just I'm a different person when I come back from these things. So it's really cool. Like in a good way, not in a bad way.
I didn't tell you, but
My
I
wife
talked to
loves it.
Mike Meadler called me Wednesday night, kind of late, about something we had going on. And he was so excited about seeing you this week, and I didn't tell you that yesterday.
Yeah, it should be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be really it's really
So
cool.
super duper cool. Have safe travels to Nashville. Enjoy yourself to be inside, so it won't be too cold, I'm sure.
It shouldn't be too bad. It should
All
be.
right. So I'm going to tell you a story real quick, and we're going to talk about that's going to lead to lead follow-up, right? And we're going to talk about expectations. And if you want to use the word manifestations, we can use manifestations too, right? So, what are our expectations, or what would we like to see happen during this? I've got emails this morning. I know things move slower during the holidays, right? The thoughts in the universe, it's out there. Things move slower in the holidays. They do. All we talked about on the walk this morning, these two ladies, is look at these decorations and this and that, and the family's coming in, the grandkids are coming to do this, blah, 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 blah. So things are going to slow down, right? But does that mean we have to slow down, or we just shift gears a little bit?
We just shift gears a little bit.
We just shift gears.
Like we
So what
just
I'm going to
yeah.
suggest today for real life real estate is that we're going to talk about doing follow up. And I'm going to tell you a quick story that leads to a pretty, well, not a happy ending yet, but I think it'll be a happy ending. So
Right.
follow up for me, I've got the project I'm working on and I got all these leads I've called and they've rejected me and all this other stuff. So I keep calling them back to see what happens. And I called this woman and she goes, "Oh, Craig, thank you so much for calling, blah, 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 blah. We decided we're gonna go to another area." And I said, "Oh," in my head, I go, "Shit." But in reality, I said, "Oh,
Well, we
good."
all do that. We
Yeah.
all do that, right?
Yeah. Do it
I'm
in your
not
head,
ready.
though.
I'm doing. Yes.
Do it in your head. Don't do it out loud. And I said, "Well, where are you
Yes.
going?" And she said, "We're going to a community called the Islands." And I said, "The Islands? That sounds cool. Where is it?" She said, "It's in Manatee County." Never heard of it. So I went online and I Googled the Islands. The Islands is about 400 home sites on the Manatee River with some pretty high name builders in there, like John Cannon Homes. They're all multi-million dollar homes in the Manatee River, close to, not near, not in Lakewood Ranch, but a pretty highfalutin area.
Right.
So I need, it's fun how these things happen. I need some builders to talk to. So I made a list of all the builders on the website that I found on Google. And then I went to Googled all the builders and I got their inquiry list. So when I got on their website, the ask us, inquire here, I typed in there and I send a little note saying, "I'm Craig Beggins. I'm representing these waterfront lots. If you've got some customers that need waterfront lots different than what you have, please take a look at my website." Which website did I show them, Jimmy?
Your Moxie website.
My Moxie website, right? Take a look at my website. Or if you're interested in building some specs, let me know. That was it. So 6 of those messages, Thanksgiving morning, or maybe it was the day before. It was Wednesday, I think. And guess what happened to me 15 minutes after I hit send?
Let me guess. You got a phone call, maybe?
I got a phone call from one of the builders saying, "Hey, your website's awesome." My what website? My Moxie
Your
website.
your personal Moxie website.
My personal Moxie website, which is in the drop down box for all of you to market. And anybody could take that opportunity and share it with builders or people that might want to buy a waterfront lot somewhere. So that's just a quick story. So rather than waiting for people to call, this time of year, what I'm asking you to do is go through your database. We're going to talk more about that because where's your database, Jimmy?
Hopefully, it is in your CRM, and in this case, hopefully, it's in your Moxie Engage.
It's Moxie Engage. Yes, being proactive. And this is a passive way of being proactive, right? It's just staying in touch with people that you haven't talked to in a while to see what the plans are. And what are people's plans now? To get closer to family, to get further away from family, to get this. The kids are going to school, colleges are happening, everything's happening in their lives. And this is where
Yep.
I'm going to ask you to focus this week or for the next couple of weeks on setting lead follow up as your priority for where
Yes.
we're going, right? And that's your expectation. Don't expect a whole lot of new business leads to come in. We're going to have them for sure. That is. We're definitely going to have new business come in. We always do,
Yes.
but it's not going to be as bountiful as it has been in the past. Although, what's going to continue happening as the season goes on? The Fed's going to have meetings and interest rates are going to
Yep.
be discussed, and people are going to be making plans for what they want to do and what typically happens after the first of the year.
Starts going crazy.
Explosion,
Possibly. Well, I
possibly.
think there's another thing too with this, Craig, is if you look at Yes, I mean, we're going to talk about specifically follow up and we're going to go through all those different things today, but people are still doing real estate. Mike and I talked last week, and one of the things that we talked about was, you may not have as many buyers and sellers right now, although the MLS does tell us a funny story,
It sure
about that.
does.
So people are listing, people are buying, and Chris has gone through these stats multiple times talking about 10,000 new listings and 7,
In the last
8,000
seven
pending
days.
sales. Yes. So my thing is during this time is you may not have as many buyers because there's a lot of stuff going on. You may not have as many people that are ready as you're doing this follow up. They may say, check in with me at the beginning, beginning of the year. But there are people that are doing real estate things right now because they have to. What do we say about when we talk about sellers and buyers? What's one of the main things? Motivation is one,
Mhm.
right? And so there's motivated buyers and sellers out there. So as you're doing your follow up, and we kind of talk through this, just keep in mind, yes, this you're going to get people say January 1st, or beginning of the year, or next year. You're going to get that, but you're also going to have people that are motivated that need to buy and sell right now.
Yep.
And then that's why you're going to, because a lot of those agents are going to turn that off right now. They're going to stop for the rest of the year. They're going to stop.
Which means your
You
competition goes dwindling
down.
down and
Yes.
you're the active one who's
Yes.
working. Right. And the
Yes.
whole purpose of doing lead follow up now is so that if they're ready now, you're ready. And if they're not ready now, who are they going to think about in the beginning of the year when they're getting ready?
Yes.
You. So this is like the perfect time to be scheduling our activities around follow up.
Yes.
Right.
And I would challenge every one of you, as you're reaching out to your past clients, your lists, so again, and we're going to go through all that. I challenge you, as you are making those calls, make sure there's a call to action, not just, okay, cool, you want to wait till next year, but specifically asking them for business, not saying them specifically, like, okay, cool, you're going to wait till next year, but do you know anybody right now that has to sell and buy, that's trying to do something real estate related right now, so they can possibly refer you business? But for all of those people that say beginning of the year, I challenge you to make that list. If everybody says the beginning of the year, on a January 1st, you call, like, try to
First of the
get a list
year.
of 50 of them, call all of them. Hey, it's the first of the year. How you doing? And maybe you only get five of them. Five people willing to do something out of 50
That's
that
a
said at the
damn good
beginning of the
start to the
year.
year.
That is a great, and that's what you're doing now by doing this follow up, is you're setting up your pipeline to start the year and kick butts.
Yep.
So,
And something else I want to put in there, because if you are going to have a little more time on your hands, there's something that's weighing heavy on my mind that I think is important to all of us. And it's the fact that buyer broker agreements aren't going away, right? They're
right.
going to get more and more, they're getting more and more scrutiny, they're getting more and more media attention, and the buyers are getting smarter about them. And some buyers are trying to negotiate. So it's going to be more important than ever now that we make a masterful buyer agency presentation. There's my dentist calling to remind me about my teeth cleaning tomorrow. See, doing follow up. Um, so we've got a really cool tool that you can use in the practice of your in the privacy of your own car, your own house, wherever you are, where you can practice like you're role playing for a buyer agency presentation, right? And that would be something I'd encourage you to do. Is you can practice your lead follow up, you can practice your buyer agent role playing in begginsuniversity.com when you get into the AI section, right? So when you're driving in your car and you tend to listen to the radio, maybe start practicing some of these things you're going to have to get good at, right? Real life real estate. I don't have
Yes.
a crystal ball, but I'm telling you, it's going to become, you're going to meet somebody and say, hey, I need you to sign a contract. I need to get paid 3%. They're going to say, well, you don't need to get paid 3%. I'm willing to pay one. And you have this conversation, well, with the sellers usually offering 2.5 or three, and I can't get more than they're asking. So I'm going to ask you to sign one for 2.5. And then that's a business decision you got to figure out, right?
Well, hey, on the EBBA side, let's discuss this too. So if you're doing follow up, so we know the typical lifespan of a buyer can be up to like 36 months, right?
Yep.
And then as rates go up and people start getting on the fence and kind of pushing that pause button, I know of a lot of buyers right now that I've been talking with, that, and I know a lot of you on here are the same thing. It has been a while since they have looked at a house or have decided they're going to be moving forward. So when we talk about practicing and what this and being able to deliver an EBBA and be able to talk through it and use our presentation and things to help kind of show that value of why they need to hire you, some of these buyers have no idea that they even have to do this now. Because remember, this it's only been a little over a year, right? It was October or something like that. So a year and a
Even the
couple
young
months.
buyers, Jimmy, where are they getting their advice from? Their parents? Their parents don't know how this works.
And it's changed. This is a drastic change that we've had to do in our state. Not every state, some states have used this kind of stuff. So, but like it's just different. So you got to ensure you can show that value, just like on a listing presentation where you gotta, when you're going through and trying to show the value of the brand and yourself and why they want to work with us, you have to be able to explain, why they're signing this and what they're doing and why they're going to do it. And obviously know the difference between all of them so you can use what's right. We want to get them into an EBBA. That's the best thing for you to actually do. But we just still need to ensure that, again, not everybody's going to just assume. Like, don't assume they know what an EBBA is and say,
They
"Oh, you
don't.
got to sign an EBBA." Well, what is that? What is an EBBA? Oh, crap! You don't know? Let me. Do you
Right.
even know what it's called? Like, do you know that what the acronym means? Are
Hey,
you
Lauren
using
just
that
typed
buyer
something
presentation?
in the
Yeah, go
chat
ahead.
that is really, really important. I've been telling you guys for months now to treat an ABBA just like a listing. It's an asset, right?
Oh yeah, most
100%.
definitely,
Lauren just
most
wrote
definitely.
in, check the expiration dates of your BBAs. Some of you and it's fine to do this, list them for a month or two,
Yes,
right? But if you list them for a month or two, 2 or 3 months ago, guess what? That agreement's expired and you got to
yes,
get it renewed. So another thing for your follow-up, call all the buyers, and you remember you should have a list of all your buyers under EBBA and find out when they expire and renew them. Because once
that
they
is
expire,
great,
they're
Lauren.
free to go
Thank you.
anywhere they want to go.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That's again, that's another touch point for your buyers now too. So if you put somebody on an EBBA 6 months ago, like this is the time, like this is a great time to follow up with them. Be like, hey, I know that it's the end of the year. If you're waiting to the beginning, well, let's get this taken care of so we don't let's extend this.
Yep.
Let's get this extended. I think that's fantastic. Great,
I'm going to
great, great
extend my
point.
commitment to you. I'd like you to extend your commitment to me. And that presumes that you've been staying in touch with them along the way, because if you haven't been, they're not going to want to stay in touch with you, right? Because you
Right.
let them down already. So be careful on that as we go in. All right, a couple things, Jamie. Um, it was funny, and I'm probably older than a lot of you listening right now, but there used to be a show on called Dragnet, and the
Yeah, I don't know.
detective had this thing. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And so I got reading strings of emails last night, and a manager and an agent were going back and forth. There are probably 8 or 10 different strings of emails going back and forth. And I'm reading them all, going, my God, can't we just pick up the phone and talk? But I was playing the game, so I said, okay, let me interject my opinion. They said, let's bring Craig into this. And I said, okay. And I said, what was that show called again? Dragnet, when the detective is known for
Dragnet.
saying just the facts, ma'am. So I said the facts are, and this is important. So let me give you a little background. There is a buyer that we represent buying a condominium, and the condominium was flood damaged, not the unit. The unit was on the fifth or sixth floor or whatever it was, but the condominium itself withheld damage, and the damages had to be repaired. And when damages are repaired to the condo, remember, a condo, you don't own the building, you own the common areas of the building. So when the title examination work came back, there's some notice of NOCs, notice of commencement, that contractors file to maintain their lien rights, right? To make sure they get paid. Well, those notice of commencements have to be released in order for clear title to be passed. So we're trying to get through this, and there's some garbage from the association not doing what they said they're going to do, and the sellers are in limbo because it really wasn't their call, and all this stuff goes away. And so I said, just the facts, ma'am. Here are the facts. This is an as-is contract. There was an inspection period. I can't stress this enough. The inspection period, when it's over, if the buyer did not cancel during the inspection period, they accept the property as is. Okay, now we're going to get to the details here in a second. And there's a closing date. And if the closing date is passed, the buyer has breached. So we got this stuff is timely, right? Time is of the essence. And then I said, there's a loan approval period if this is not a cash contract. And then if the buyer didn't cancel during the loan approval period, they waive all financing contingencies unless the property fails to meet underwriting criteria due to property conditions. So the contract has all these secret answers in there, but it's really critical that we watch these dates, right? So when they did the title search and it came back with these issues, now reading the contract again, if there's a title problem, there's an automatic 15-day extension to cure title defects. And once again, I don't have the details because this was late last night, a bunch of emails going back and forth. But when you talk about just the facts, I want you to stress the importance of if there's something unknown and your inspection period is about to end, you need to cancel that contract or get an extension to your inspection period, or else you're accepting it in its as is condition. And nobody's taking this as seriously as they should, right? Because there's no going back saying, oh, by the way, I meant to cancel 3 days ago. No, you didn't cancel three
No,
days ago.
right.
You're busted, right? But, my loan approval period passed, but then we found this out. No, it doesn't matter. Your loan approval period passed. You didn't cancel during it, so you lose the right to cancel, right?
Yep.
And just things like that are happening, and they're happening when you least expect them, and we have to deal with them after the fact, where we should be catching them up front, right? So these little warnings, and I'm going to go back to the critical date timeline, which we crafted for you guys, that lays out these important dates. And if you share that with the parties, it really goes a long way toward communicating to solve the problems early. This problem is easily solved, right? All we got to do is find the contractor and say, hey, did you get paid? Yes. Would you release your notice of commencement? Yes. Problem solved. But now we're under the gun and closing's coming rapidly. And what if we don't get it done in time? Then the contract's going to kick in and we've got a closing date that we're not going to meet, which is going to be a breach. And we've already accepted the property as is condition because we didn't cancel during the inspection period. And I think in this one, it was cash, so there is no loan approval period. But all of our default remedies are gone. And we're going to
Right.
hope for the good side of things, right? And condos are just more complicated in general, right?
Oh yeah. And that critical day timeline, I think, is I
It's a
know a lot
tool.
of it's a great tool to ensure that you're and putting them on your calendar to ensure that it, but not just put it on the calendar to say this is when it ends, but like putting it like a couple days to remind you a couple days prior. So, there's certain things that we need to ensure that we're doing with our, with our buyers or with our sellers. And these are very specific dates that if we don't have those answers, we have options. But once
Yeah,
those dates pass, we put our buyer at a detriment
that's right. You
because
come to me
now
as
if
a
they can't
seller and
close,
say, hey, our
right,
inspection period is coming to an end, but we're not sure about this yet. We need a couple extra days. Well, a logical seller is going to give you a couple extra days
right,
because it's a lot
right,
easier to give you a couple extra days than to cancel the contract, put it back on the market, find a new buyer who's probably going to come along with the same undiscovered questions, right? So super,
right.
super important. We got two more topics, and we got enough time to get to both of them. Um, this is just fun because I got a phone call last night at 9:42 p.m. I don't know, my little smart ring here tells me I should be in bed by 8:15 to 9:15. And it
Yeah,
does. It sends a message to my phone and says, you should be in bed now. Doesn't really say that, but it says something close to it. So I'm in bed, 9:42, phone rings. I don't answer because I've learned over my extensive career that I can't solve very many problems Sunday night at 9:42 p.m. But
yep.
it is a problem. And the problem is we have a buyer who's executed a contract to buy a piece of property. And it's been a problem piece of property. It's just a vacant land. And our agent gets a text from the seller's agent last night saying, I can't make this shit
Oh
up,
no.
saying the sellers decided to accept another contract that's for more money.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, what do? You freak out. What? Excuse me. No, the contract that we have that's signed by the buyer and the seller that has contractual rights is the contract that we're governed by. Your seller can't unilaterally cancel my contract and go sign another one. And if he does, he signs two contracts. He's got to deliver the same piece of property to two people. And that's a major problem. So I texted the agent back and said, I suggest the seller contact their attorney to find out what their obligations are, because that's it. So sometimes, and I think my point in saying this today is we have to realize we can't solve problems, right? All we can do is identify them,
Right.
right? Because I can't make a seller perform,
Right.
right? It's not, I didn't go to school for that. I went to
Right.
school to find a buyer, find a seller, write a contract, put them together, and hope it all stays. But if it doesn't and it falls outside of the, the contract, that's when we got to get a lawyer involved. And as much as I hate to do it, it's the right thing to do.
Correct. I had a client a couple years ago where we went the day before the walkthrough and they wouldn't let us in the house and they decided they were not selling anymore.
I've
And they
heard that
just
one
closed on
before.
that they just closed on their other house, the one they were selling, literally had all their stuff in a moving truck. And then
But
obviously in
they
that
can't
case
do
they're like,
that. They did it.
well, I mean, it really comes down to if a seller decides, or even the same thing with a buyer. A buyer decides they're not buying anymore. There's just going to be probably repercussions, which is something that we can't provide. They need to talk to somebody that can kind of give them that information, in this case, a lawyer. And, I've seen times where when that has happened, where, um, like in my specific instance, the buyer was so frustrated, he ended up getting a lawyer and then said, you know what, I just want my money back. Will they just cancel? And so they gave them they signed a cancellation form. He got his money back, and the lawyer said, "Well, there's nothing I can do now because you both said, hey, it's good, give me my money back, and you canceled the contract."
Hmm. Yes. So
But
these
that was
things
not my
happen.
decision. That was the lawyer. Like that's what they decided. So,
Yes.
this stuff happens,
It does
unfortunately.
happen, and we just have to recognize it does happen, and not everybody is a person of their word and does what they say they're going to do. So that's why it's even more important that we understand what their rights and obligations are and communicate that to them. So
Well, so in this case, go ahead. Sorry.
that listing agent just said, seller, no, you can't accept another offer. We could do a backup if you want in case buyer number one fails, but you
Right.
can't accept two because then you're going to owe the property. And the buyer could literally sue you for damages. Now, whether they would or would not, it depends on how pissed off, how much money the buyer has. But I've seen people do things out of spite that made no sense at all.
I've heard judges actually say, okay, cool, you got to sell the property. Now, it takes time, but I've even seen
Mhm.
them say, hey, you have to sell the property to them. Well, if it goes that far. But I think one of the things about this too is because again, we get emotional when this stuff happens.
We do.
We're supposed to be the calming force and that kind of stuff. So, obviously pass that information along to the seller to be like, hey, have them contact, see what their obligations are. But we still have a legal binding contract. So we still need to ensure that we are following through the things that we're supposed to. And you go into the buyer saying, oh, they're giving it to another one. And the buyer says, well, I'm not going to do anything now because of this. I'm going to sue them. And then all of a sudden we get to a point where maybe we're in breach because we're not following the black and white of the contract and what we're obligated to do as the buyer, then all of a
Yep.
sudden you literally just gave it to them to be able to sell it to somebody else. So
Yep.
again, we got to take a step back. I know we wear 75 different hats in real estate. Like it's not just realtor, it's psychiatrist, it's pool
Mhm.
boy, it's electrician, whatever whatever it is that we do. But we
Yep.
have to be that calming force and we're going to have to step back. But that's why we're here though too, which is fantastic. I'm glad they reached out because we can kind of help kind of get to maybe calm down, talk about the facts, what truly is, which is what you were just stating. So very
Yep.
nice.
I had one more topic. We'll cover it real quick, not in detail, but you were helping an agent in the Tampa Bay area who wants to do a favor and help their child buy a house on the other side of the state. When is that a good idea? Almost never.
Is okay.
I'm sorry. If my mom decided she wanted to move to West Palm Beach, and I love my mom, but am I going to get in a car and drive to West Palm Beach and show her houses in West Palm?
You have every right to do it if you want
I'm
to.
legally licensed to do it.
I like this, Lauren. Only if you know the area and you're from there and you know that stuff.
That would be one reason if you're recently
Yes.
from the area and you know it well. But there are rules in West Palm Beach that we're not aware of. There are parts of town that are good, there are parts of town that are bad. There are areas that flood, there are areas that don't flood. There are areas with special assessments, there are areas without special assessments. There are things that local agents there know that we don't know. And it's just like put the shoe on the other foot when an agent comes to from out of the area and wants to show your listing. Be honest, it's a pain in the ass. We had this happen the other day. An agent from Orlando wanted to show one of our listings, and our lockboxes don't reciprocate anymore. So it became a problem. And this agent just sent the buyers on their own. They found out the seller was leaving the front door open, sent the buyers on their own. And the seller has video cameras in the house and found out the agent wasn't there and
Right.
is pressing charges with the Florida Real Estate Commission and the local boards. I mean, these are just things you don't do. So, and I was going to mention here, I wrote down my sheet. I sign on average about 2 referral agreements a day. And that's just not just relocation. A lot of it's BE3 to Beggins, Beggins to BE3, because if we can do it
Right.
in-house in company, we want to do that. But it's people we're referring to other states because we have to legally. But I'm here to
Right.
tell you that if you refer to the other coast, you don't have to legally, but you should because you don't know that area. We send to Georgia because we don't have a license in Georgia, but because we don't know Georgia. We send to New Jersey because we don't know New Jersey, right? And referrals, if it's a really close person, right? Hey, Jimmy, this is my mom. You're a agent in West Palm Beach. I could come over there and write the deal, but I don't want to because you know the area more. Would you give me a 50% referral fee if I give you my mom with the bow tied up, ready to purchase?
Right.
Probably
Right.
you would. So the referral fees are depending on the work that are going to be done. Get Jennifer to it.
Right.
Yes, I would pay a 50% referral fee to an agent, friend, right? Who's going to help me give me a prepackaged buyer. Done deal. Right. So
Right.
anyway, for doing it now, there you go. So for today's thought for real life real estate is the expectations are that things are going to slow down, but they don't have to slow down for us. If we double down our efforts on lead follow up now, we're going to set ourselves up for a very successful beginning of the year. And maybe we'll find somebody who's in that position you were talking, Jamie. They're ready now. Are there
Right.
reasons to buy right now?
Yes.
The sellers that are on the market now, they would love to be sold right now, right? They're probably more negotiable now than they ever have been before. So if you got a buyer who wants to buy now because you're doing lead follow up and you put them on the hook, that's a side benefit. But our expectation is to get them ready for next year. So
Right.
number one is lead follow up, advice for the week, for the coming next couple of weeks for the rest of this year. And two is practicing. Really start using the AI tools that you have provided for you for free and start practicing your scripts and dialogues with AI. Nobody's going to hear you. We're not recording anything you're doing. We don't want to hear it. But practice and converse with it back and forth and let it correct you or challenge you or give you some things to make you sure you're top of game, right? Because this is not going away. We're in this world for a while, right? And I would not be surprised if the rules start becoming even more enforced because I'm reading lots of stuff and seeing lots of podcasts where they're saying it's not working the way the powers that be intended it. The powers that be intended this to turn us all into flat fee agents that we work for $500 and show
And
out.
we're all getting raises.
Right.
We're all getting raises. A lot of
So
them.
that's
A lot
not
of
what they're
them are.
trying to do. So there's all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So it's more important for us to make sure we're doing that. Okay.
Right.
So tune in tomorrow for our broker briefing. We'll have topics for you that are relevant. Then break off into individual office meetings, see what's going on in your individual team areas. And let's all share that information back and forth. Let's have a really productive rest of this year. And once again, you're going to see the hot sheet come out every day because you're going to see listings every day. You're going to see sales every day. You're going to see closings,
Yep.
especially closings. So monitor your closings very closely. I have 2 open houses this weekend. Oh, I can't see the rest of it. Hold on. House going on. I held an open house this weekend. House went under contract on Friday. I had 5 people walk through that said if I can find them another house in the same neighborhood, they will buy ASAP. People are still buying. Yes, right. But if you take the expectation away and just put your nose to the grindstone, do some lead follow up, you'll find those that are ready to buy today. But you won't be disappointed if they don't buy today because you're going to have a hell of a first quarter of next year. So that's real life real estate for us today. Mr. McNally, on your way to Tampa International Airport, top on a
Yep.
aeroplane to fly you to Nashville, Tennessee.
I'm leaving on a jet
Jet
plane.
plane. We know when you'll be
Sorry,
back
I had
again,
to do
though,
it.
so it's all
Yeah,
good.
that's right. We do know when I'll be back again. All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. Get out
Yes.
there. Have some conversations.
Happy Monday. Happy December.